Right, that covers the main assembly and a few key points on the Easyclear range. What we're going to look at now using Easyclear 9000 is how you actually get into it to do some general maintenance. You will find it will vary how often you have to do the maintenance depending on the individual pond. Some ponds you may unfortunately have to do this maintenance every couple of days, some ponds may go for every few weeks. That may increase as the pond gets older and you do get a lot more sediment and debris in the pond. To start the maintenance, obviously first make sure that the pump is isolated from the mains, taking out the pond and pushing these two buttons in at the front, take the cage off. That will need a bit of a clean just to make sure you haven't got any debris there. Anything that does foul this can put pressure on the pump because the pump can't suck in the water it needs to. Next you'll find two layers of sponge. This is in the Easyclear 9000. In the Easyclear 6000 and 3000 you only find one of these first. Ideally, if you can, depending on how clogged they are, give these a bit of a clean out of some water you've taken out the pond. Ideally take a bucket out, put them into the bucket, a bit of a rinse, and that's how you clean those. Next we have what is, to all intents and purposes, 2 bags of gravel. These act as a ballast. They're not normally needed once the pump's been running for quite a while, but when you first set it up they are quite important. These sponges will trap a lot of air. If there's too much air trapped in, you can find it actually counterbalances. All the weight is in the back, so they put these in there to act as a ballast. They're not a type of filter medium, so you can just take them out quickly and put them back in. You may find after a period of time you don't actually need them, but don't worry about those ones, they're not important. Then we have another layer of sponge, same principle this as the other ones. Wash them out in some water you've taken out of the pond, just to keep the bacteria alive on there. With the Easyclear 6000 and 3000 you only have one of these bags of ballast and you will be onto another layer of sponge then. At the very bottom we have the filter medium. In the other two Easyclears, as I mentioned, the 3000 and 6000, there's only one bag of this. In the 9000 which we're using here, there's 2 bags. Ideally, well, more than ideally, preferable, give these a wash out in water from out of the pond, not tap water. They do contain a lot of bacteria which help to keep the conditions better for your fish. So quick swill out when they're clean, put them on one side. When you have got the pump out, it is a good idea to make sure that there's no fouling around the front. When that is done, it's all nice and clear and you've got any debris that's sitting in the bottom, you can simply start to reverse the process, putting those into there. So it's the filter medium, layer of sponge, 2 bags of the ballast and the other 2 sponges. Top that you've actually made sure is all clear already, pop that back into there and pop that back on, and that's secure, ready to go back in the pond and ready to get running again. Right, next we're going to look at replacing the ultraviolet lights inside the Easyclear. We're going to use an Easyclear 9000 as a demonstration. This one has a 13 watt ultraviolet light in there. We do recommend replacing the bulb approximately every 9 to 10 months depending on use. Ideally it is best to run these systems 24 hours a day. That sort of load, then normally we would expect the bulb to actually start to diminish in power after 10 months. The actual bulb lighting up is not an indication that it is still working. They can light up and not actually be doing the job. When it is working, you will see a glow from the very top. Just a colour, just here, it's like a clear colour. I'll just remove this to show you. That at night you will see a glow there, kind of a purplish bluish glow. With any ultraviolet light, you must never look at them when the bulb is actually illuminated. Inside the top of there is a cover which stops you looking down and actually looking directly onto the bulb. But never try looking at a lit ultraviolet light. Right, to access the ultraviolet light inside here, it's inside this sheath. You turn the pump around, we'll remove this. That's the secondary outlet we covered earlier in one of the videos. You'll notice a screw on here. If you find a suitable screwdriver and remove this screw, making sure that the actual pump is isolated from the mains and the ultraviolet light is off. You will notice here there's two symbols, a locked lock and an unlocked lock. Turn it towards the unlocked side, as long as you turn so far, and then that collar then comes off. Here you'll notice a quartz sleeve. They're quartz, not glass, as quartz is more transparent than glass. And inside there is the collar. This again has a symbol here to show you which way to turn, and this one you have to turn it counterclockwise if you're looking at it from this side. Quick, just light turn, best to use the collar, and that will just come out. You will notice a black seal ring around the bulb. When you buy a replacement one of these bulbs, you won't receive that seal. That seal is only there for transportation, so the actual bulb doesn't knock against the quartz. Put that over here. Then we have the bulb inside here. Sometimes these bulbs can be quite tight. If you clasp, never clasp by the glass, just clasp just onto the metal there. If this has been running for a while just before you take it out, I would allow a bit of a cool down period, as the bulbs can get quite hot. Bulb there. These are safe to touch. You won't affect the running performance of these by touching them. And then you're left with the holder inside. Simply going to get your new UV bulb, placing it back inside. Quartz sleeve. Make sure the seal rings are intact here, and you will notice inside the glass there are another couple of seal rings as well. The seal rings inside between the glass and the collar prevent the water ingressing between and into the unit. Pop that back on top. Twist that back in. Then you need to get the collar. Put that back on. Turn back to the lock position. These screws on these only need to be hand tight. They aren't there to actually create a seal, they're there to stop this from accidentally being turned and took off while the bulb's illuminated. And that's it. And that's how you change the bulb on an Easyclear 9000. You will find with the other Easyclears it is exactly the same procedure, smaller quartz, smaller bulb, a smaller collar, but follow the same principles. Continue using the Easyclear 9000 as a demonstration. What we're going to look at now is how to actually do the maintenance on the pump body. It's a little more long-winded than actually changing the sponges, and a little more involved than changing the UV bulb. First, what we need to do is to remove the filter medium from inside. Take the cage off, and I'll start removing the filter medium. Then we need to turn the unit on its side. Located at 4 places, here, here and here, are the screws. Undo these screws, turn the unit back around. You'll then be able to take the top half off, like that. Removing this one out the way. Turn the unit then on its side. You will notice there are another 2 screws. Once the 2 screws have been removed, you can safely take the pump body out. As you remove the pump body, it will draw the quartz and the UV assembly with it. This shows the well cover. Simply twist and remove. You may find that these units are quite tight if it's the first time you've took it off, just due to the seal around the top. You can push it from the top and then take it off. Then we come to the impeller. In one of our previous videos we've shown you how to check the impellers with these. We'll just run quickly over this. The impeller should free spin on the shaft that runs through the middle, as such. If you can hold the magnet and the blades turn and keep constantly turning, then the impeller does need replacing. Some impellers can turn a quarter, even half a turn. They will then lock and the whole unit will turn, magnet and impellers. If the impellers can keep free spinning, that means it's broken. Do not replace a pump if the shaft is not completely intact. If the shaft is not intact, it will allow the impeller to move slightly, which will cause excess wear inside here. Make sure there's no fouling inside here. You can use either cotton bud or a small pipe brush just to make sure there's no dirt inside there. We place the impeller back inside. You'll notice there are a couple of lugs that need to be located as it turns around to there. Come there. The next part is to join it back to the top body. The pump well cover should be facing towards the back. And then the two other screws back inside there. Now that the screws are back in place there, we can then assemble this part back to the lower housing. Before that is done, however, make sure the cable is correctly seated into the cutout at the top. Once the assembly of that's complete, we then need to bring the lower half back in and assemble those two parts together. Now the two parts are back together, we can screw them together using the screws. The 4 holes again, located there, there and there. Now that we've actually put all the screws back in, we can start putting the filter medium back in, and that's our general maintenance carried out. And once the filter medium's back safe in there, top back on, and that's the general maintenance of an Easyclear 9000. The maintenance for the other two Easyclears, the 3000 and the 6000, is virtually identical. We've used the Easyclear 9000 just because it's a larger item and easy to demonstrate. Thanks for watching a video by GardenSite.co.uk.